You've thought back on it many times, but you still don't know why you did it, why you threw off that cloak. The whole thing just happened so fast. Before you knew it, he was there on the road. You couldn't see him. You hadn't seen anything since childhood, nothing. But you could hear him, and you could sense him. And before you knew it, the others brought you to him. Then there was a burning heat, and then a milky whiteness, and then something started to come into focus, and it was his face. His face. Those kind, penetrating eyes, that slight smile as he dismissed you on your way. And then he was gone, meandering off down the path, the crowd on all sides. Sometimes they seemed to sail smoothly along. Other times he was pushed about by the crowd, so eager were they to touch him and talk to him. And that, in the end, was the final image you had of him. So what's the big deal about the cloak? Why, generations later, when your story would be told, would such a detail even be included? It's funny what gets included in the story. Your loud shouts that rang out above the murmuring of the crowd, "Son of David, have mercy!" The shushing of the crowd, "Don't bother him. He's a very busy man. He's on his way to Jerusalem." And then the cloak fluttering to the ground as you make your way toward him. The question, so simple. What do you want me to do for you? The answer, Teacher, Lord, let me see again. And of course, the miracle of healing. Of course, the miracle would be included in the story. But the story also leaves out certain things, like how you woke up that morning, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sounds of the world stirring around you even though you couldn't see them. And it seemed to be a day just like every other day. You went about your business. You recognized the voice of a friend along the way, and you exchanged superficial words of greeting. "How are you? Fine. Nice day." "Good to see you," the friend would say in parting, and you would both laugh because, well, you know. And it was funny, except that it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all, this loss of vision. But you know, you're cheerful in the midst of it all. Who are you to complain? There are plenty of people in the world who have it much worse, right? God must have had something to teach you in this time of blindness, right? Or maybe you didn't feel like you deserved to see. Maybe you felt like God was punishing you for something. Or maybe God was simply absent to you. But of course, the story doesn't reveal any of that. The story brushes past all those questions and doubts and fears and how you had to push them into a place deep down because to deal with them would just be too hard. It's hard enough to be blind, but to have this secret despair too? No, it's better this way. The keepers of your story want you to be a blind beggar. You have a name, and you have an affliction, but that's about all you have in this story. It makes the story more dramatic anyway. You were blind, but now you see. It makes for great theater. You're supposed to be an inspiration, you see. You're supposed to be the one who has so much faith that you can't be stopped. You can't be silenced. You just know that Jesus is going to heal you. But there's more to the story. The story doesn't reveal how it wasn't just faith that day that made you call out to him. It was desperation. The story doesn't tell what it felt like to sit by that road day after day with people walking by, all business and busyness, working hard, getting ahead, and knowing that there was no way you were ever going to come out on top. Oh yes, even blind beggars had aspirations. Of course you did. And it was impossible not to compare yourself to others. The people rushing by, heading to the market, hurrying home after a day working in the field. And so on this day, like every other day, you heard the crowd coming and you felt the tiny tremors of their footsteps on the dirt path, and you inhaled the dust they kicked up and it made you sneeze, and you thought, well, here comes another group of them. And you got ready for them, reaching out to them in your own way, saying, notice me, please. Acknowledge me as a human being. But this time you heard something different. Not the normal conversation, but something exciting. It came in snippets because, of course, they weren't talking to you. You merely overheard words like Savior, marvelous deeds, healed, exorcised, Son of David. Could it be? Could he be the one? Could he be the King, the Messiah that everyone had been waiting for, the one who would bring them victory and military might? It had to be the King of Kings, infused with strength and power and might. It was more than faith. It was desperation. It was nothing left to lose. And so before you could stop yourself, you called out, Son of David. And then you thought, oh no, if he's as great as they say, if he's the anointed one, the king, he could strike me down right here. Who am I to him? And so to protect yourself, you call out quickly, have mercy on me. Don't strike me down. Look with favor on me, even though I don't feel I deserve it. Again, you call out to him, and people are trying to shut you up, and you won't let them. Again, you call out, Son of David, which may as well be, oh, my King. And again, you must beg for compassion. Have mercy on me. And then the murmuring stops. The dust settles, and all is still. And your heart is filled with excitement, but also dread. It's quiet too quiet. And for a moment you are afraid. Maybe I shouldn't have called out to him. Who am I to bother this, the Son of David? But then a few people come to you and they see the fear on your face. They see what it took for you to speak up, and they try to reassure you because they say, take heart, which means have courage. And they tell you to come. And then there's that moment. The cloak comes off and you go. You still don't know why you threw off the cloak. Maybe when it came right down to it, you were ready to face the Son of David. No protection, no shield, no reminder of who you were before that moment when you called out to him and put your life in his hands. Or maybe you thought, he'd be angry that you disturbed the festivities, the parade into Jerusalem. After all, who are you to him, you think? Nobody. Maybe you took the cloak off in case he wanted to have you flogged. That's what happened when people got flogged back then. Their cloak got stripped away. Maybe. After all, you were nothing to him, right? But you were wrong. So wrong about him. You knew it from the moment you came face to face with him. From the moment you stood eye to blind eye. He wasn't like that at all. Yes, he was the king, the Son of David, but you didn't need to worry. You never needed to fear because he cares. With all the blindness and the doubts and the fears, he cares, and he asks you with such compassion, what do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you? And it feels like such a gift, that question. You didn't know this at the time. You would only find out later as the story was retold to you that Jesus had just asked that question to his disciples. What do you want me to do for you? And do you know what they wanted? They wanted to sit with Jesus on his right hand and his left. It wasn't the answer Jesus wanted. And maybe if you'd known that story, you would have answered differently. Maybe if you'd been in your right mind, you would have asked for something for someone else, for everyone else. Peace, justice, an end to hunger or war or disease. You'd want to be a good steward of this opportunity, because whatever you asked, he had the power to grant it. But then, like a child, before you could stop yourself, you answered, "My teacher, my Lord, let me see again." And it happened. In a moment, you could see. And not only that, but the hurt and the despair were gone too. You were well. You were whole. And you were free to go. He said so. Go your way. And you thought, my way? My way? My way is with you. Everything I have is yours. Everything I am is yours. I'm not going to go my way. I'm going to follow you on your way, wherever the way leads. And you know now, the way led to Jerusalem, to a wonderful, festive celebration which turned into betrayal, which turned into execution, which turned into glory. And your story became part of his story. You didn't ask for world peace or an end to hunger or war or disease. You asked for yourself. And that's exactly what he wanted you to do. Because once you were healed, you committed to live your life for him. Once you accepted the grace that was offered, you gave it all. You risked it all. You gambled it all in return. And you became an agent of peace and justice in the world. It started with a healing, and it ended with service.